Hello snowboarders of the internet, I'm your host Avran LeFeber, and in this video we're going to be reviewing the Ride Manic. This board features Ride's directional hybrid rocker, which is basically directional cam rocker. So you got a little more rocker in the nose, camber through the midsection, and a little rocker in the tail. This is going to give you the load, pop, snap, and drive of traditional camber underfoot with the ease of entry in and out of turns from that rocker, as well as more optimal powder float, and it makes it a little easier to press on a feature. This board is available in 151, 154, 157, 158 wide, 160, 161 wide, and 163. I rode this board at Copper Mountain. It was puking snow. You had chopped out terrain, full of powder, high winds, low visibility, average visibility. You had dust on top of corduroy, you had wind-blown screws, kind of just typical storm day conditions, and I rode it with my Rome Black Label bindings and my K2 Thraxis boots. I think by most people's standards, this would actually be considered stiffer than what Ride is marketing it as. So it's supposed to be middle of the road. It actually feels a little bit stiffer, but it does have carbon and impact plates in it. So what you get is a little more flex in the nose due to the rocker, stiffer section through the middle, slightly stiffer tail, fair amount of torsional flex to it. And when it comes to stability, this board is actually more stable than I thought it would be. You do get a little chatter out in the nose and the tail from the rocker, but it never really resonates back underfoot. So you don't have to worry about it too much. By and large, this was actually a really damp board, and it pushed through chopped out terrain with ease and just never had to worry about anything in front of it. Alright, so the camber section is actually easy to engage, and then you end up loading it up, pushing into that tail rocker and getting a little spring out of it. It's not the snappiest board out there, but it is snappier than others in this category and at this price point. So you can kind of get the job done. I mean, suck your knees up if you're worried you're not going to make it over something. When it comes to jumps, I didn't hit anything too big. It was just a few small piece park features. So what I did hit, it boosted off the lip. It got the job done. I mean, is this a board you're going to go hit jumps with all day? No, not by any means. But for what it is, small, medium features, it can get the job done. You don't have to worry about it. With the way the camber profile is on this board, you want to make sure that you get your weight right outside the camber zones, right where the rocker is. You're going to press into it. And there's going to be a little fight. Not a lot, just a little bit. You notice it wanting to rebound. So when you push into it, it reacts and it wants to snap you back out. If you know how to butter, you're going to be fine. If you don't, well, it's time to learn what it's like when a board actually wants to fight you on it. It gets the job done. It's nothing mind-blowing. It's not going to sink you. It's not going to kill you. You gotta just be able to muscle it just a little bit. It's a little bit of finesse. When it comes to jibbing, you want to make sure that you get your weight into those rocker zones for nose or tail presses. It's going to be more optimal. If you're not, they're going to look a little soggy. It's going to want to set you down. When you go sideways through a feature, this board actually just sort of balances. There's a little bit of give to it, but it feels like it's just balancing on top of the feature. It's kind of not what it's actually for, so you know, it'll do it, but just don't expect it to clap out on you unless you really gap down hard on something and it just snaps. The edge-to-edge transmission is consistent. It's not fluid though, which means you're not fighting it. Like, you know that it's going to roll on edge, but it just doesn't feel as smooth as other boards. And you can rail a turn with it when you want to, but there are limitations. You're going to notice that when you push in from the center of the board back through the tail, you only get so much power out of it. You can't just keep pushing in and getting more and more out. It's not exponential like that. It just hits that wall and you're like, well, that's about as good as I can get with it. Short, tight, quick turns, long, hard, drawn-out carves. It's kind of got you covered in there. It's more for like that intermediate rider that's progressing, that's learning how to carve, and they're going to think this is absolutely amazing. If you know what you're doing, you're like, okay, it's got limitations. It gets the job done. Who's this board for? The progressing low-level intermediate that wants to become a high-level intermediate. Overall, this just feels like more of a price point smokescreen. It's got its limitations. It is stiffer than I thought it would be, which is fine because there's people out there that need that price point and a board that's a little stiffer. Are there better boards in this category at this price point? Yes, I've ridden them. I know that for a fact. Is this a board that you can get the job done with? Yeah, totally. It's not bad, it's not great. It's a snowboard. That's really what it is. Comparable boards: the Yes Basic, the Rome Warden, the Capita Outer Space Living. Binding recommendations: the Ride A6, the Rome DOD, the Nitro Zero. This has been my review of the Ride Manic. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you own one? Are you going to buy one? Leave me a comment down below. Let's have a conversation about this snowboard. If you're new here, remember to subscribe, click the bell, get those notifications. That way you're not going to miss any of the videos we got coming out for all you snowboarders of the internet. And if you really like what we're doing over here and you want to support us further, swing on over to Angry Snowboarder VIP and become a member. Sure, I could tell you more here, but I got a video over there that explains it so much better. As always, I've been your host, Avran LeFeber, and I'll see you in another video.